Good evening, everyone. This is the City of Hannibal Official Council Agenda, Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, Council Chambers, 7 p.m. I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilman McCoy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Here.
Councilman Franke.
Present.
Mayor Hart.
Here.
Councilman Phillips.
Here.
Councilman Welch.
Here.
Councilman Beach.
Here.
There being a quorum present, I would call this meeting to order. Mayor Pro Tem Dobson, would you do the invocation, please?
Glorious God, you promised to open the doors of blessing and abundance for your people. We ask that you work mightily in us tonight. Come upon us and cause us to have a productive meeting. Lead each one of us so that we can make fruitful contributions at this time. Enable us to think and strategize in ways that will achieve great results. Purify our thoughts and motives so that each one of us will enter this meeting desiring the good of others and the pleasure of your name. Amen.
This time I'd ask our special guests in the front row, Troop 917, to listen to pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like I said, we have some special guests in the front of the chambers here who are working on a badge. Look at that. What do you hope to learn this evening? Awesome.
We're very glad to have you.
You put it in better words than we do sometimes. Thank you. Might have you come up and help. Okay, council, at this time I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda as it is posted this Tuesday, October 18th.
Mayor, I do have a correction to that. I was on there for a code amendment, and that code amendment needs a public hearing that we set last meeting, so we'll withdraw that tonight, table it.
Okay.
Otherwise, as amended.
Second.
So motion is second to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Now need a motion to approve the minutes of the regularly scheduled council meetings of September 20th, 22 and October 4th of 2022.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion over the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. Requesting a motion to approve the payroll and claims accounts payable for the first half of October 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion over accounts payable or payroll? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. First item on the agenda this evening is Scott Gallagher with Scott's Minor Collision and Towing.
Thank you. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me, Scott Gallagher, Scott's Minor Collision and Towing. Also with us tonight is Bobby Lair from Roberts Towing. We have Debbie and Andy Rhodes from Custom Towing. We've come together as a group. We've been fighting this battle a long time. We're ready to get it squashed once and for all. We feel that the time is right. We have a new administrative at the police station, new administration at the fire station. The overturn has been crazy. A lot of young firemen, a lot of young cops. Now's the time to fix this once and for all. We're not here to bash anyone or run anybody's business down. All we want is a fair shake. So, out of the gate, we've got some serious conflicts of interest on your board. Starting with Mr. Dobson, who's a lifelong friend of Jason Craigbaum, Heartland Auto Body, and your good mayor, Jim Hark, who's a lifelong friend of Jason Craigbaum. What we're asking is that any issues that come before you in the future that involves towing or maintenance of emergency vehicles that them guys recuse themselves, because that's the decent thing to do. They're too close. That's all I'm asking of you. All right? Second off, accountability. It hadn't been quite a year ago when we dealt with these tow forms with the police station. And I appreciate the work you guys did on that. That is a big deal for us. If we feel that we've been done wrong, we have an avenue. We can go to the police station. We can request the tow forms. If somebody's doing wrong, we can bring this up and hold them accountable. But what we don't have is accountability for these people. Okay, if I go and I check these forms and I see someone is obviously hauling the wrong tow truck, what's the accountability? The fire department, as soon as this went into effect with these tow forms, they put into effect SOGs. What would happen if you're caught offering up a tow company on the side of the road? These are the consequences. The police station has not. We're not trying to move mountains here. We just want a fair shake. So that's the first goal that we're trying to accomplish, is accountability in the police station for those. Other than that, we have no issues with fire and police. We're going to give the new chief a chance. I think he's already making an effort to change things. In fact, there's one issue that I'm going to get to, number 5 here, that he's already did without even anyone speaking to him. So regardless, we're going to move on down to number 2. And this is a big one. Business between the city of Hannibal and any tow company that's on the city rotation. And that includes myself. That includes custom towing. If you were, it'd be included you and Jason Craigbaum from Heartland. At no time should any company that's on that city rotation be allowed to do daily maintenance, body work, or repair work on emergency vehicles. When I say emergency vehicles, I mean police and fire. I don't care about Parks and Rec. I don't care about street department. I don't care about the Board of Public Works. But when you're on the side of that road and you have the ability to make patient contact or owner contact, there is a very serious chance that mishaps can take place. Myself, as a Hannibal fireman, I was not even allowed to be on that city rotation because the police department shut me down. They said, you being on the side of that road, there's a chance for conflict because I have patient access or owner access. For the longest time, I wasn't allowed to even be on that rotation. So that's where this conflict of interest, half of it comes up with the mayor. He works in a tow company's office. So that's why I said they should recuse it. Simple as that. Okay, the other thing that I would like to speak of is the distance that a tow company can be outside of city limits before they're allowed on the city rotation. As a firefighter, it was 30 minutes. We could live within 30 minutes of the city limits of Hannibal. If crap hit the fan, you need to live within 30 minutes. I think it's even longer for the police department. I'm not sure. But let me ask you a question. What's more important? A police officer, a fireman, or a tow truck? Please don't say a tow truck. Being a fireman, I know when stuff hits the fan, you want a police officer there, you want a firefighter there. And if we're going to give a police officer and a firefighter 30 minutes to make it, if there's an emergency, why are we shutting Robert's garage down when he's 8 minutes up Highway 61? And I'll tell you why. Because some time ago there was gatekeepers at the police station, and they controlled the tow rotation, and they decided who they wanted on that list. This guy, his company, has heavy trucks. Heavy trucks, there's a lot of money in heavy trucks. So we don't want these people in here competing because we got people that we're looking out for. Not naming any names, but that's just the way it was. So I ask you guys to treat tow companies just as you do your police and firemen. You don't have to give them 30 minutes. You don't have to, but be fair about it. And you can time. We can take a car up to New London and we can drive it to the city limits of Hannibal, and I'll guarantee you it's not going to be more than 9 minutes. So that's what we ask of you. Appreciate your time. Please be fair. hopefully we can put this to bed. We're not trying to run anybody down. We want a fair shake. We're not trying to move mountains. This will calm the storm right here. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, Scott, real quick. You said there was a fifth item. You said the police
Yes,
department's already
the-
handled
the-
that
okay,
without
sorry
anything?
about that. The fifth item was the towing of city vehicles. For the longest time, it's always went to one company. So I got my first police car tow this week. First one ever in 10 years. And I was so shocked. I said, what's happened? Why are they calling me? Well, you know what? I think the chief thinks that all these vehicles just need to go who's on the city rotation. And I tell you what, it was a nice feeling. It was a nice feeling putting onto that cop car and putting it on my truck and taking it to PD. You know, he did that on himself with no conversation. So that's the fifth. And
I appreciate that
and the
comment.
police department has already made this change. Like I said, I've towed my first car, and that's great. If I'm not available, go to the next guy on the rotation, but don't send them all to one shop. That's just, come on. We all pay our taxes. We all do business in the city of Hannibal. I'm asking to be fair. I'm not trying to run anybody down or smear any individuals, but if there is a conflict of interest, recuse yourself. Make it fair for everyone. We should get along. As tow company owners, we should be working together to the common goal of the people. If that man has a problem, he should be able to call me and I should send all my trucks, whatever he needs to do. Or if this guy needs me, I should send my stuff. Whatever. We should be able to work together. We shouldn't hate each other in this town. There's no need for it. Right now where we stand, we got one company that's not allowed on property because he took a picture of the mayor in the office is what I'm hearing. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. If that man needs me, he should be able to call me. Period. We shouldn't have this stuff going on. And we shouldn't have people from the police station and the fire station who are on the side of that road running in and out of anybody's business that's on that tow rotation. Not mine, not his, not theirs. There's plenty of shops in this town that do mechanic work that's not on that rotation. Plenty of shops in this town that do towing that's not on that rotation. It's all there. Make it easy, end this stuff, squash it. Time is right with the police and the fire. Let's be done with this. Thank you for your time.
Can I ask you what your solution is?
What am
I didn't hear a solution.
I just gave you the solution.
What is it?
I heard multiple.
Yeah, I get all 5
Okay.
times. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Which one do you want? So, a solution to what?
A solution how to end everything.
Right here.
And I can tell you, Roberts isn't on the list because they reside outside the city of Hannibal, and the ordinances require the tow service to be in the city of Hannibal.
United States.
Is that right? Is that right? So these folks at Custom are not in the city.
Okay, then maybe that needs to be looked into.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Anything else? Right, and that's,
Okay.
and that's the number 4 issue that I brought up. We're gonna allow 30 minutes for a firefighter who's, we don't have time to waste 30 minutes.
Well,
Let's deal with it.
I think the bigger issue is if you contribute to the tax base of the city or not.
Yeah.
I've been a firefighter for 36 years, probably chief 30 of it. And for 30 years, I've heard bitching and complaining and moaning. Excuse me, ladies.
Absolutely.
It goes back to Donnie White, or rather Harold White and Donnie Tallman.
Absolutely.
And it hadn't cured itself in 30 years.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you where that stems from. If you're fortunate enough to have friends in the right places, city governments, these sores fester and they keep going. That's the problem that we have. Now we're here. The buck stops right here with city council. Police station, we're good. The fire station, we're good. We're right here. We got the people in front of us. We're asking you to make these changes to end all this stuff.
So you're telling me,
No offense, Mr. Dobson. No offense. As a person, I respect you, but you are biased. You are biased. You're friends with, close friends with Jason Craig. So I'm not trying to get into that and turn this into a shouting don't need this. We want level-headed people that are not involved and don't have a horse in the race to talk this out and make a rational decision. These companies are not fighting amongst themselves. Can we do that? That's all I'm asking.
So you don't think that a police officer out on the street has enough knowledge or can be trusted enough to make a call on his own?
Good question. I wasn't going to get into this, but
On what the tow service can provide the best service for the city to clear a street, or in the case that you want to refer to, last week out on US 61.
yeah, I wasn't going to refer to that, but you brought it up, so let's talk about it. So here we are. I'm going to bring you guys up to speed. I'm sitting in my shop. Keep in mind, I'm on rotation, city rotation. There happens to be an incident with a semi at Market Street and 61. So I'm kind of listening to the chatter on the radio, and I hear a voice come over that I'm really not too used to hearing that much. And the voice comes on and says, we have a semi that's jackknifed, and it's not going to be word for word, but I'm going to tell you what he said. It's kind of jackknifed, and he's not going to be able to get out without a truck. He said Heartland's the fastest and the closest. He said, go ahead and get him rolling. And I thought, man, that's really odd, because a police officer would never make any kind of a sloppy statement like that over the radio. So I got to thinking about it, and I said, and by the way, I'm closer anyway, and I'm on rotation, so I'm curious to who said that. So I jump in my truck, my tow truck, and I drive to this incident scene. I make it there, first one there. I'm sitting there for 15 minutes waiting on the next truck to come. And while I'm waiting on this truck to come, Heartland finally shows up, or he shows up after I'd been there 15 minutes or so. Right after he did, then Robert's truck shows up. So I'm really scratching my head now. What's going on here? So turned out that the truck driver or the company dispatched Robert's garage for a brake that had stuck, and he was already en route to take care of a locked brake in a service truck, because that's the call he had. So he pulls up right behind Heartland, and which never should have been dispatched in the first place. So we have a city councilman using his authority on an emergency scene in the city limits of Hannibal without mutual aid request from Hannibal Fire, picks up his volunteer fire department radio and calls 911 dispatch and requested a tow truck. That's the kind of problems we need fixed
to clear
here,
the
Mr.
hazard.
Dobson.
To clear the hazard. And you might also mention
But
that you might mention the other incident that you were out on, that I was out on for 5 hours, that you were out there taking pictures on. And Heartland wasn't involved in that one until
I'm sorry, what are you
you're talking about Lakeside, talking about the truck that spilled the chicken fat. We were out there taking pictures on that one too.
That was outside of the city limits.
Sure.
And that had nothing to do with Heartland.
Exactly.
Had
But you're
nothing.
still out there taking pictures.
Because it's a learning opportunity for my guys. It has nothing to do with anything. And if I had the chance to watch it again, I'd watch it again.
I hope you learned something.
I didn't raise any cane over that. I had an opportunity to watch another company who I respected. I was taking pointers. That's all I was doing.
Super.
So I don't see the harm in that. Is there harm in that?
I was just curious.
Okay. Hey, you can call me anytime. I'll answer any of your questions. I'm not.
But we
I'm
can't.
not that bad.
But
of a
we
guy,
can't.
dude.
We can't be friends though, right?
Huh?
We can't be friends.
We're probably not going to be hanging out at the pool. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Thanks for coming tonight. I apologize for your frustration and the
Right.
part that the city
Right.
played or didn't play in it. And
Thank you.
I know it takes some courage to get up there, so I applaud you for that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And you made multiple suggestions tonight, so I just want to narrow them down and make sure I got it straight.
Okay.
So you're suggesting that in the future, mayor and the mayor pro tem recuse themselves on these sorts of matters.
Yes, sir.
Additionally, that towers should not be able to do maintenance on city vehicles, emergency city vehicles.
Yes. And towers that are on the city rotation.
Okay, thank you. And that cops and firefighters can live up to 30 minutes outside of town, but towers have to live in town, and you want to adjust that.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, did I miss anything?
They said their company was 1,200 feet too far to be allowed on this. And that was done back in the old administration at the police station, which we all feel they were gatekeepers, keeping people. So, anything else?
As far as specific recommendations, that's what we got, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And you know, even if it was 15 minutes, if you can make it to city limits within 15 minutes, you know, that's not even half of what you give in firefighting.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Mayor, just one thing. Chief Nyson?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Is there anything you guys would like to
Well, you were the only one on the
I
agenda.
put their names on that.
Their names aren't on the agenda.
Yeah, Scott, you're the spokesperson for the group, so that's,
Okay. I'm sorry.
okay, that's all right. It's just a matter of
No
decorum.
big deal.
All right.
Chief Nyson would,
I'm sorry? Take a vote if you want to add that. I don't even know your name, I'm sorry. Bobby Lair.
Make a motion.
Second to add Bobby Lair to the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second, takes a 2/3. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
no.
Bobby Lair, spell the last name. Lair.
Councilmember McCoy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
No.
Councilmember Franke,
Yes.
Mayor Hart,
Abstain.
Councilmember Phillips,
Yes.
Councilmember Welch,
Yes.
Councilmember Beach.
And just state your name again for the
My
record.
name is Bobby Lair. I work for Roberts Garage and Towing. We've been in business right about 52 years. Roughly 20 of those years I've been employed there. I'm new to this area. I've only lived down in New London for a couple years. But like I said, I've been in this towing business for almost 20 years. So I think competition's a great thing. All these guys right here, we work with, including Jason at one time or another, we work with him. Competition's an awesome thing. It makes good companies prevail, makes bad businesses go down. But we got to be on the same playing field here. I didn't realize you were the mayor. I thought it was a joke when they said you were the mayor. Because I thought to myself, if you're the mayor, how in the world could you ever oversee something that involved a tow company in which you work for?
I don't actually.
Okay, and honestly, I knew I recognized you from somewhere.
I think I talked to you on the highway that day.
Yeah, well, actually, I talked to you on the highway, my wife and I, when I was in my personal vehicle. I was wearing these pants. That stain right there is a diesel fuel stain I can't get out. We were in our personal vehicle. We stopped to help a truck driver who had truck issues right at the exit right there by General Mills. We stopped in our personal vehicle. I simply got out and held the guy's fuel leak. He wouldn't dissolve his fuel. And you told me, what was I doing on your scene? That's where I recognized you.
Okay.
What was I doing on your scene? I was there before you because I watched the truck go. I simply told the guy, who was still our customer, been there several times, hey, if you need repair, we'll take care of it. I did mention in front of you that there was a trolling truck company that was closer than we are. He said, hey, you stopped and helped me on your personal time. I'm going to use you. So with that being said, I can see the biasness a little bit on your part because you was very obvious that you was frustrated with me for being there. Your coat, which seemed the logo of a towing company.
No, you got me.
Yes, it did.
You
Yes,
got me
it did.
confused with Tim McLean. I don't
Yes,
have a
it
coat
did.
that says Heartland on it.
So, and then with you, it's crazy. Now, they said you were the mayor, like I said, and I was like, there's no way, because the mayor wouldn't do that. You shouldn't be over anything that has to do with your employer. You have a financial liability here because if it goes
I'll tell you
south,
what, check the charter and see actually what the qualifications
Well, you're not
and
a full-time mayor
responsibilities
here,
for the
correct?
mayor. Correct.
So you could have another job.
Correct.
I was on the city council for 10 years, not this city council, but a city council.
Right.
So I know how it is. But my question to you is like I said about the competition, it's awesome. I love competition. Jason's great competition. But we all got to be on the same playing field. You know, we don't, once a year we go out and we pass out cookies. The fire departments, police departments, our customers, that's all we do. So my question to anybody here is if a sweatshirt or a hoodie or some tickets or a trip, I seen you down in Florida with them. Remember that?
Oh, I go a lot of
a good
places.
time, yeah.
Trust
but,
me.
But if any of that ever influences the fact of who they call for a tow or a wreck, that's not a gift no more. That's not a token of appreciation. That's considered a bribe. Okay, Mr. Dobson, can I ask you?
You're reaching real close on criminal accusation.
I'm not accusation.
I'm going to give you a fair warning. Be careful how you word some of this.
What I'm asking though is, do you have anything that has our logo on it?
I don't have anything that has Heartland's logo on it.
That's what. Hey, great question. Great answer. But my whole deal about
But
this.
you told me I did. You
do. You have a coat
you
on.
mistook me for my assistant chief, and
You have
I
a coat.
have
I
had.
seen it there, and I seen it out on one.
You can go look at my
79.
coat in the truck tonight. I'll
So
take you out there.
my question, and I agree with Scott saying that maybe you should definitely recuse yourself because you do, you know.
I think if you check most votes, and you all can pull any records you want, anything that's voted on that has anything to do with tow companies, tow rotations, or anything, even discussions down to concerts that Mr. Craigbaum puts on, I recuse myself.
Good.
And I think that's a matter of record, and if anybody up here can say to the different, I want you to say it now in open session.
I can actually attest to the fact that he abstains from
Good. And
all
like I
of
said,
those.
I didn't
votes.
even realize the guy was the mayor. I thought they were joking around with him being at the mayor. Well, I'm not going to ask him. So my deal about being fair is, as far as the rotation of City of Hannibal, there was an officer. I come down. I was still in Durham. His last name started with the Z, but I can't. It was kind of a hard name to say. Yeah, Z.
Yeah.
Maybe yes, that sounds right. He actually, when we was going to get on the rotation of Hannibal, measured it, did everything by his tack, and he said, "Listen, you're just too far." And listen, like I said, 1,200 feet might as well be 12 miles. We accept it. We don't ask nobody to bend the rules. We don't need to. We're not asking. I'm not asking to be on the Hannibal City rotation because honestly, I don't want to be on the Hannibal City rotation. We got enough work to keep us busy. It's not what I want to do. But last week with the customer that called us with the problem, Jason, we was very respectful. We had a good conversation. It had absolutely nothing to do with work. Well, it did, some equipment. But he did get the road clear. Okay, that was actually our customer, which was fine. It cost our customer more because Heartland did have to charge them to do it. And likewise, if it would have been their customer, we would have done the same thing. We would have cleared the road with that. So my deal with that, Scott does have more of a complaint because he was on the rotation and he was skipped over. You know, when the road's blocked, I think the state statute, because you was a police officer too, right? As long as the road's blocked, they can call who they want to clear the road. Okay, that person has to clear the road, but all they have to do is take it to the side of the road where traffic can flow freely until that person's request shows up the other day. And it worked out smooth. It was fine.
You're correct.
Larry,
Yeah.
did you and I not have a conversation that day? I mean, you look familiar. The guy that I talked to,
That might have been
And
my helper.
your helper,
He wanted to pull it off the road.
and I told him, I said, I'm sorry. I said at the time the driver didn't have a preference. He got called back from his dispatch, and they wanted Roberts to pull to New London and then on to
He
where
did
it was
talk to me
at.
about that.
Okay. Okay, it was your assistant then.
The only person I really talked to. Jason.
Okay, it was your assistant then.
Yeah.
Probably after I'd left. Probably after I'd left.
I don't remember if you was there or not.
But-
I was concentrating on the fact of getting this guy
Sure.
and getting back to our shop and it was
Sure.
raining.
And I was concentrating on the fact of getting him off the highway to someplace safe. And then it came about
Well, I
that he was your
I don't
customer.
think the question is the fact that you not had good intentions. Not the wrong way. I think that's, you're after talking to these guys. I mean, I've worked with all we want about it is maybe, hey, listen, my Heartland's the quickest, closest, all the exploitation. Because anybody here would have been capable of getting that truck off the road. Rick Bum, I would think a 3/4 ton Chevrolet pickup.
No, that's for heavy.
This truck, our service. Well,
I'll tell you-
we'll tow a truck.
Let's, Bobby, I'd ask you just go in and
Yep.
engage us. and
So,
I'll
like I said, I appreciate your guys' time, and I'm from New London. I'm not from Hannibal. This is the first city council meeting I've ever been to here, and honestly, I mean, unless something comes up, probably the last. But my whole deal is, guys, is let's just get it fair. Let's get it fair for these guys, okay? Because they pay taxes in this town. They all do a good job. I've watched every one of them work. I've worked with every one of them. You know, I've worked with Jason. It's been several years. We probably wouldn't work together anymore. But I think the reason we wouldn't work together is we both don't need each other. My company definitely don't need him, and he definitely don't need us. That don't make him any worse than us. It don't make us any better than him. But we got to be fair about everything. We got to be fair. We can't be, we just got to be fair. Okay. I mean, we dealt with it when I first come down in the county just south of us, and it wasn't fair there. And I'll tell you, that county straightened up now, and it's pretty dang fair. We don't get everything. We don't want everything. We can't handle everything, but we get what's fair to us. And trust me, if we can't do it, if we can't get to it in a timely manner and get them off the road, several times we've turned it over to these guys to do it. All right. So, like I said, I appreciate your time. My City Hall, a little bit better than where I served on City Council at, but just make it fair. That's all I ask. And I can tell you two are very adamant, and I could tell.
I guarantee I wasn't the one on the side of the highway. I don't have a Heartland code.
Okay.
You got me confused with my assistant chief, which
So you're the chief,
I'm the chief.
okay, and your fire department has Heartland code.
No, my
on your
assistant
fire
chief,
department do.
my assistant chief has a Heartland code, which I don't approve of.
Okay, you don't
But
approve.
I can't tell him what he can wear and what he can't wear.
But is it along his fire code?
No,
Is it along like a big
no,
one?
it's on a yellow coat,
Yeah.
a high vis coat.
So if being you're the fire chief and he's responding to something that you're in control of, can you not tell him what safety approach to wear?
Yes, but he chooses to wear that. I require, a high vis. He chooses to wear that, which is, it's a conflict. I get it.
It is. And so I would trust being you're a notable man that you'll take care of that too. Maybe that's not.
That'll be taken care of. This is the first time it's come up, but that's.
Yeah. Well, to me, I tell you, I was also told one time, and it has nothing to do with the city of Hannibal, but hey, you need to go talk to this guy about, if you have a problem, the actual sheriff said you need to talk to this guy about it. You need to talk to this guy why you feel that it's not fair. So that's fine. That night, I seen that gentleman in Hannibal, and he had a towing company's hoodie on. What's the sense of talking to him?
Sure.
It's not gonna.
I understand.
So like I said, just make it fair. I think that the police department is very professional in this town. The fire department, I'm sure they're professional too. We don't work with the city fire department that much because we're not on a city rotation. But we gotta make it fair for everybody that's in this business. Not just one, because I tell you what, and I'm not gonna get into all the rumors of everything in this town, but
Let's not.
we're not going to, but let's
Let's not imply.
Let's just make it fair.
Let's not imply that either.
Yeah, but I'd like to just see that it's all made fair. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Chief Nyson, just like to ask, if you were prohibited from using a tow company that's on the tow list for repair your vehicles, would you not be put at a big disadvantage? I use Hannibal Mac today, for a turbocharger, for what it's worth.
Any other discussion, council? Okay. Next on the agenda is Jason Craig Baum with Heartland Auto Body and Towing.
Me, I'm just you. I need to see my name. Sorry.
No, you're
You're all
good.
good. Okay. I'm here on my behalf just to basically defend all the accusations that have always thrown at me for 24 years. Last 4 years got a lot worse. I know last year we went through this same routine. Everybody gang up against one company because you've been around longer apparently, or not around longer. You have more equipment, less equipment. No matter how you look at it, every day it's something different. Does everybody deserve fair treatment? Yes. I know that, does the mayor work for me? Yes, he does. Does he sustain everything to do with business, including concerts? Yes. Does he have anything to do with vehicles coming to be repaired for me or an officer on the side of the road? Apparently he seems to think so. Maybe you do, you had your time to talk. Yeah, but you pointed. Did you have your time to? No, I was looking at you. I didn't talk about your time. I will. So anyhow, he's saying that, your officers apparently, or they're good officers, but it's easily, since we work on their vehicles, to make them to where I'm doing more for the city. That's what his accusation. Or the fire department. And then we're going to bring other companies outside the city in, which that's fine if they want to. You allow them to talk and this and that. Technically, if you look at city charter and ordinances, it really should have all revamped a long time ago. It's been asked to be for times. I brought up several times. Technically, I think every tow company on the city rotation should have a business location, lot, everything in the city limits. Not against you, like you're saying about me earlier. But if I got to do it, he has to do it. Everybody should have to do it. I mean, we're going to get into a technical issue. There you go. I mean, that becomes an issue. You say, yes, I pay a city license once a year. Is it for the tow company? Okay, that's what I'm saying. But you will pay more taxes for your tow trucks. Well, then do it. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, technically, if I got to do it, then everybody has to be. They're saying we need a level playing field. Level playing field, that's fine. Then guess what? We all need to be on the same playing field there as well. As far as work on city vehicles, I don't really work on that many city vehicles. I'm not sure. We could pull records and this and that. My business does a plenty. Then again, why are you talking to us? I didn't. I don't need to help, buddy. Help me out. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to be disrespectful just because you have a problem. Jealousy is a horrible thing. You know what I mean? And the problem is, though, you're right. Everybody should be, everybody should get along. The problem is, though, everybody wants to get along. But guess what? It's everybody but one company. And it's not just a city. You complain about everything everywhere. That's all you do. And the thing about it is, that's your right to do that.
Hey, gentlemen,
you have the right to do that. True. I have my
Excuse me.
rights.
Let's direct your conversation to the council.
Back to the, I'm sorry about that. Back to the, ordinance years ago, which was very vague, towing rotation, allows company, okay? So you buy a medium/slightly heavy duty tow truck. Well, the city ordinance and everything on towing rotation, which you can look it up, it is vague. There's nothing that says you have to have bigger equipment, to handle bigger trucks. Basically, if I want to buy a truck tomorrow, I can sign up and I can do everything apparently that me and two other companies have adequate equipment, which we're on different levels. One guy's had to spend $2 million, to keep his upgraded equipment to do jobs, and a guy's spending a lot less. You are at different levels. Doesn't mean anything wrong with it, but you can't expect, if you don't have the equipment to do what the other guy's doing, I think you should have to have certain minimum qualifications to be on that list. I mean, you can't, have smaller stuff and say, well, I can do it. Like, well, I can get it off the road. Getting it off the road is different than towing it off the road. I mean, you look at that. And to bring up a secondary thing, they want to talk about an instance last week out here. All right. He said that, he showed up, there was a guy on call, which obviously he said he's on call for light duty, but technically, where's the difference between light duty and heavy duty? There is no point right now. There's nothing there that says different. So you got an area there that's totally, you're putting the police, you're putting everybody in an area they don't know how to deal with because there is nothing that describes one or the other, which is a bad deal. And that puts everybody in a bad spot, And then they want to talk about technically being fair in the industry, all right? Everybody wants a chance. I can also say, when you get called last week to go out on a semi and broke down in the road, you look here. And then you call a company. Am I supposed to answer you? No, I'm just looking at it. But then you get the call because you're the call on tow. And you go out there for the city call, and guess what? You called Roberts out in London to go do it because you couldn't do it. That's not adequate service. You're not a heavy tow company at that point. If you can't do it, you should be on the list. Then why are you calling another company out of town? It should be the companies in town. That's fair there. That's not fair doing that. That puts you back in the same situation where you're calling a company out of town. Well, the police out there could care less if it's me, them, or whoever doing the tow. But I guarantee if you call for a tow and you call a company and spend 20 minutes to get them out there, and then he can't do it, so he calls somebody that's his buddy in another town to bring a tow truck. Highways a lot longer. We all know the ratio of people getting hit nowadays. Puts everybody at more risk out there. I think that's different than being on the city rotation now, because now city rotation don't require you to have the equipment. You can call somebody else to do it for you. That's a very gray area too. A lot of places and ordinance in towns require you to have your truck's license and letter in your name if you do the accident. Not a bad idea. I don't say I have the right answer. Apparently they think they have the right answer. I can tell you there hasn't been an answer for years. It's always been a problem, and it always gets pushed off to somebody else or somebody else blamed for it. I don't think there's really blame if you look at departments, ever. It's more of an ordinance and a thing for towing rotations, which 9 out of 10 nowadays are being thrown out. Because you know what? The state of Missouri does not have one. And I think they're all well aware of that. And Highway Patrol will call who and when they want. Because you look back at the lawsuit, I-44 towing, Mark Robbins versus the state of Missouri. There's an issue going on where he said he was not getting work. There's a rotational list. He went against Jay Nixon when he was the Attorney General and won the lawsuit. And Judge Callahan in Callaway County abolished the state of Missouri having a rotational list ever again. Because at that point, if you do, he said if any company gets missed accidentally, or as we're talking about now, say it could be indirectly or just a misunderstanding on a computer, he said we are liable for a lawsuit. He said you abolish a rotation. He said there is no liability thing. We are out of the business. We shouldn't be in the towing. Honestly, I don't think the council wants to be in the towing business. I don't think HPD, it's not their right to have to be involved in this. Everybody's getting drug into things. But you got to look at it, and realistically, in a way they are correct when they sit there and say we need to settle it all. You can look into insurance and you can look at different things. But in the end, having a rotation in general, I think, is the worst thing for Hannibal, because the only other way you're going to be able to fix it is if you'd hire somebody to secondary every day of the week and monitor it. Because right now we got 5 companies on here. Aaron Wilson's a good guy. A small company. He doesn't like to do after hours no more. Custom Towing is on rotation after that. For the last year and a half, you basically get 2 weeks on call a week, a month. And because you're the next in line. But technically, it should. But technically, you should allow 1 week a month. We're all the same. We're all talking about a fair playing field. But the fair playing field, a company that doesn't answer the phone, if you're the one behind him, you sit down and saying, and you're the next in line, and you got 3 companies that are all buddies here, well, guess what? We're going to use a guy out of town to get. Then this guy over here, for 3 weeks, he's out of the mix, and it shouldn't be that way, because at that point, if somebody don't answer the phone, yes, right now it says call the next one in line. Well, if it's like you have months, well, this company here's getting 2 weeks a month, everybody else gets 1 week. I mean, there's so many areas you can look at. I'm not saying you're unfair, but if you look at any angle of that, though, you talk about fairness and everything about Everett, that goes into the same equation. But like I said, at the end of the day, the towing rotation, you look at a million different ones, look them up, read them, go through them, mark them, whatever you want to look at, lawsuits, whatever. At the end of the day, I don't think there is a perfect fix with the rotation in Hannibal, and it didn't work for the state of Missouri. And I think that's the best interest of Hannibal, to protect the city of Hannibal, protect departments, and everybody involved. And I also want to note that Scott brought up that he wasn't allowed to be on rotation when he got into towing because of that. That was brought up by.
That was correct. I wasn't allowed on. That was the final. First one was my truck. Then they said, a record. On a record. They said no. Then after that, they told me you not have a fence that 2 pounds. So I went and bought property. Then I come back. That's when they told me after I spent all this money that you're a city employee and you're not allowed to be.
That was after you'd already brought it with me, though. Yes.
So then you were hired.
No, that was afterwards. You threw a fit. That would.
Right after they
But,
told me
hey,
that.
guys, we're not going to
We're
argue.
not going to get
that.
fired. This is not the council.
We're not arguing
But at
that.
the end of the day, talk about fairness to fairness. You know, at the end of the day, a rotation list, you've heard them say this and call somebody out of town. Technically, but when you talk about a list, if you're going to have one, even a light duty and heavy duty, you got to have some major standards set in place. I'm sorry. How else can you make it fair? You know, we're all not the same. We all don't have the same equipment. Nothing against one or the other. But, you know, this is a business where, you know, you can't halfway be in it and do everything the other guy's doing or less than the other. You know, whether you have 1 truck or 5 doesn't make you better than anybody. We'd all agree on that. But what it does say is, you know, if, you know, you're on call and you got a small truck that can haul an empty truck and there's something where there's a road blocked and you got a loaded truck that you can't do it, you really should be on a list because would that situation happen? It could be 10 years for that. Could it happen next week? Well, but when it does happen, guess what? Now we got a problem. Now we've got something that's not big enough equipment to do it. Well, I can call this guy at the road. But the problem is, then you're back to the point of you're outside the city.
We keep talking about this all night.
No,
Everybody got different opinions, some
I've
some
explained, like I
positive,
said,
some negative. There's 2 people that were addressed, and they're in positions of power, mayor and chief of fire department or volunteer fire department. They're in power and on council, and it's going to create some sort of view of them. I'm going to go ahead and just say the positive things about them and let the previous statement stand it where it was. But yeah, we're over an hour, almost an hour into this meeting, and we've talked about 2 things, and they both seem like arguing over the same thing. What we'll do is we'll all just get together sometime, each individual, and we'll all talk about our ideas and our views. But I think this needs to progress on further.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm going to throw something out there. On October 5th, 2021, then Councilman Bowen advised the council in a closed session, as I recall, that Gallagher Towing and 2 other companies were considering suing the city. The last thing we need is a lawsuit against the city of Hannibal by a tow company. Mr. Kriegbaum mentioned Robbins 44 LLC versus Becker, and in the United States Courts of Appeals, the 8th Circuit decided on July the 27th, 2015, read as follow. In November 2005, the Robbinses sued the Missouri State Highway Patrol and Missouri State Court, seeking reinstatement of the list. On June 20th, 2006, the state court instead determined that the Missouri State Highway Patrol lacked statutory authority to create a rotation list at all. The court permanently enjoined the Missouri State Highway Patrol from creating, maintaining, or enforcing a rotation list of towing or wrecking directing operators for determining which towing operators or wrecker services will be remove a disabled vehicle from the roadways or the shoulders of the roadway, and further enjoin the Missouri Highway Patrol from using such list to interfere with the Robinson's business operations. With that, if that's case law for Missouri State Highway Patrol, I think it should stand for the city of Hannibal, and I'd make a motion that we eliminate the call rotation list.
Mayor, I don't want to inject myself into this, but that case does not stand for that. I would suggest it's a lot more complicated than that, but I would also suggest that's a case that's not binding law. The city does have statutory authority to establish something like that. The Highway Patrol does not. They're enacted, they're empowered. The city is a constitutional charter city. If you choose to have a tow list, you can have a tow list. Now, I'm not saying that you should have a tow list. I'm just saying, from a legal standpoint, that case does the same proposition.
We've been through this before, and then Chief Davis asked to do away with the tow list, and the same arguments were given, and they came away with the checklist that worked good for a while, and now the checklist isn't working. So,
And I'm not taking a position, Mayor Pro Tem, regarding whether there should be a list. Just stating the legal issue that I don't believe that case is binding on the city.
Sure.
In regard to that.
okay, then the problem exists is if you're going to have a list, who's going to? And I talked with Chief Naki about this earlier. You know, if you're going to have a list, who's going to police the list? And every time somebody doesn't show up within the allotted time, who's going to bump them down, and who's going to keep track of it? And you know, no. Sure, they don't want to be. They don't want to be. And I know 911 went off the list, and you're going to have a problem again, but I sit as the chairman of the board of 911.
Actually, could I jump in here? And I think I'm going to kind of address you at the same time. I'll be the first to say that a lot of this stuff is over my head. On top of that, everybody's a little frustrated, a little passionate, talking fast, and I'm just trying to keep up. I do know there were some specific suggestions made. I also know that we have a new police chief, a relatively new fire chief, and my opinion is that for the now of it is that we defer to them to think on it and come back to us, taking, into consideration your suggestions and any others they may or may not have themselves, and they can come back to us at their own convenience.
As the way this actually goes, that's not really the way. Yeah.
We did have a motion on the floor. Was there a second for
Second.
Councilman Dobson's?
Oh, excuse me.
Okay, because that was the first one. We kind of intertwined there.
Oh, I jumped the gun.
Councilman Dobson had a motion on the floor. Is there a second for the motion? And realizing I'm conducting the meeting, but I'm abstaining from votes. So is there a second?
The motion is to
Do what?
annul.
Eliminate.
I mean, we've, not to get into too much, this has been a topic before, and there's been comments made about if this comes back up, you know, based on the case law that you guys all referenced, or what we thought was the case law, was like Chief Davis in the past and mentioned, let's just do away with it. But listening to the city attorney now, I mean, I'm hesitant to jump on board on a motion like that until we have all the knowledge of what we should or should not, or could or could not do.
I want to be clear, I'm not saying it's not a valid case, it's a valid case, I just don't, it's binding upon the city, it's completely type of entity. I, you know, that, it's a good case, I mean, dead on the point, but I just don't know the binding of the city. It'd actually be my legal.
Chief, question for you. How are you going to handle the call list after 911 refuses to handle it?
Can I interject real quick, Chief? Not to step on your toes. I was also a member of 911 for a while, and unless there's been a new contract negotiation, the contract signed between the city and Marion County, Econ 911, included the services of maintaining a tow list. So the city pays a portion, or pays a fee, for dispatching services. And if memory serves, it's been a few years since I've been on there, but if it serves me right, part of that contractual agreement includes maintaining the towing list. Again, I haven't been there, so if that's
given
been
notice that they, as of
I don't know. They have a contract, so I would argue with the city attorney that they would have to fulfill that contract. But I don't. It's been so long since I've sat on the 911 board that I don't.
I haven't reviewed that contract.
Chief,
if I
you
did,
know
it's
it's going away January 1. How are you going to handle it after?
I just also want to be clear, I wasn't trying to put the buck on you guys. I just don't know anything, so I'm hoping that you guys can teamwork it so we can come to a better decision together.
So, second for Councilman Dobson's motion.
Do the towing companies want a list? They not want a list. Okay, I know. I'm friends with all of you in the room. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but if it, that's correct. If nobody wanted a list, then I was going to say we're wasting our time. So that's the only reason that I asked.
Any other discussion with the council this time?
I'd like to turn mine into a motion.
Okay, restate it. Please.
Yes, I will. James, I apologize if it's too wordy, but I would like the fire chief and police chief, considering that they're both somewhat new on the field, to teamwork together, come up with a proposed solution that, of course, considers Mr. Gallagher's recommendations and comes back to us at a time that is convenient for them, but probably somewhat expedited because of the January 1st thing. And then council can make a decision at that time. That's my pretty much.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Can I discussion?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Not that I totally disagree with Councilman Franke on this issue. I think that the police chief just made it pretty well known that he felt like it was better for the council to tackle this instead of two department heads that are already swamped and understaffed. So again, no disrespect to the councilman and his motion, but I mean, I feel like that because it does include monetary things, does include businesses and their reputations, and we probably, as the elected officials, have a pretty big stake in how this moves forward.
But it's just a brainstorming. It's we're not asking
And they
for
can
a
brainstorm without-
determination.
I mean,
We can't have.
My same comment there is, I respect your motion, but I really don't think it should be put on their responsibility.
I'm just saying I don't know up from down, so.
Yeah. These are conversations that have to be had, so.
I've got a good ordinance from the city of Independence. You can use that as a model and pick it apart. And it includes qualifications and the purpose, the number of companies, the services and procedures, general operating rules, insurance required, experience required, requirements for application approval, personnel, storage facilities, tow truck classifications, tow truck rotation call list fees. Independence charges $500 a month to be on the call list. I think that's a good place to start.
So there is a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion?
I don't want to hang it on the police chief and the fire chief that have plenty to do. They could be part of a committee, but I think the elected officials.
I don't think it's hanging on on them. But if we have not had any forward motion on this long-standing issue, as you mentioned earlier,
Yes.
You know, a general discussion is at least something moving forward. You know, we can get their opinions and move forward from that point on. I mean, I don't see that's going to impact their time all that greatly, unless they say otherwise. But
Want to set up a meeting with them then?
they have
Is
the
that what
time,
you
I
want to
think.
do?
Well, we have a motion second. We should probably vote on that one.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Councilmember McCoy?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
No.
Councilmember Franke?
Yes.
Mayor Hark?
Abstain?
Councilmember Phillips?
Yes.
Councilmember Welch?
No.
Councilmember Beach?
I do have another comment, which will require me to make a motion. I make a motion that we I don't have a set number of people, but a committee together to form a solution and present it to all parties involved. Yeah, that's going to be my motion.
Second.
Can I ask you a question?
You want to read that back?
Can I ask a question for clarification?
Sure, yeah.
When you say you're going to form a committee of councilmen, of
Okay,
people
so
in the community, who do you
clarification
have
on that.
Girl Scouts?
I believe it should probably be probably the city manager, chiefs of the fire department and police department, and probably one person from each company. I don't know if that'll cause any troubles, and I'm open to suggestions on other people.
My suggestion would be that I don't think that you want the people from the tow companies in there, or it's going to be
Probably right. It's
probably conflict.
right.
The city attorney needs to definitely be there.
Yeah. Like I said, it was one of those motions that I'm going to make. I'm going to I'm just going to put it in plain terms, to be figured out later, in public forum or whatever. I know this is a half-assed motion. I really do.
I'll second that.
There just needs to be something to be done. We've spent over an hour arguing about it right here in council.
Well, there is a motion. Second.
Yeah.
James,
I was speaking from the cuff right there. I don't know who we should put on it, but I do
Can we
believe it
have
should be
a,
the city manager,
have
the
a
two department heads I
meeting?
pointed out, and
schedule a public hearing, public meeting,
the attorney.
and then let everybody come talk and take notes and figure out from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going to take people from the company out.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. So, I realize I threw that out there just kind of without any thoughts and process, but
Councilman Boyd,
Yeah, I do. I just was asking the city attorney if we could just, I mean, I think everybody, it sounds like everybody is willing to listen. We've listened tonight for quite a bit of time. We're not really sure how to move forward, so I was just asking the city attorney if we could have schedule a public hearing where we can focus just on this issue. The councilman can be here, any representative from any tow company in the city, outside the city, anybody that would have a vested interest can come. Everybody would have the opportunity to speak. Everybody that showed up, and bring ideas, bring notes. If we do set this up, it's not going to be a name calling back and forth thing. It's going to be a productive meeting, like Councilman Phillips said, moving the ball forward. But we got to do something. I mean, we can't continue down this path, and we do have to be fair. And without myself knowing all the ins and outs of it, I'm not going to say that Scotty's right or Jason's right, or I don't know. And that's not my place to judge. My place is to make sure that we are taking care of the citizens of Hannibal, the taxpayers, and that we're doing what's fair and just for everybody. And creating a committee that we're not sure about, no offense, Colin, the police chief, fire chief, heading it up. I think we beat this dead horse enough. As long as the counselor says that it's okay, I think that should be the next route that we take.
I completely agree, but we're out of order here, and I'd second his, but you've got a motion and a second on the floor.
so, Daryl, you spoke real well with your words, and
So are you withdrawing your motion?
I spoke just off the cuff for something to do.
I had time to think about it.
I withdraw my motion, but I would welcome you to.
Is there any issue with that, James?
No issue legally. I would probably respectfully suggest you, I don't think you're going to get any benefit out of a public meeting, because I think you've just had the public meeting here. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody. I think Mr. Krigbaum got an opportunity to say his side, and Scott got an opportunity to say his side, and I think everybody understands the issues. And while I certainly don't love to make extra work for me, I'd suggest maybe you ought to let myself, the two chiefs, and the city manager take a stab at looking at some of the issues that have been raised and bring something back to you all, at least at first. Maybe a proposed ordinance, because as the police chief points out, there is no specific ordinance on point. There are policies that we've had in place, that we've modified, that we've changed, that we've done stuff with. There are some legal issues that I have, both the ones that Councilman Dobson raised, but then there goes back to the ones that Scott raised with issues of, claims of impropriety. And I'm not saying there was impropriety. I'm saying those are issues that are legally there. I think there's a lot of legal issues, and there's issues with the practicality that need to be dealt with by the two chiefs. And I'm bringing the city manager into it just because if I've got to suffer, she's got to also, and she's not here to say no. That would be what I would suggest to you guys.
I then would make a motion that we form a committee of the city manager, Jacob Naki, Ryan Nyson, and James Lemon, to bring us something back. I'll probably give you a month.
I would also like a copy of the existing list, to review myself. I haven't seen this, nor do I know what it looks like. If it has the information that is in dispute, I would like to see a copy of that at the next meet.
It's just a list of record companies on a calendar. Okay. Okay.
So that's your motion?
That's my motion.
Is there a second to that
I'll
motion?
second those words because they're correct.
Okay. There's motion and a second. Any discussion?
Are you willing to take feedback from the tow companies into consideration?
I think, look, I think it's appropriate. It's one of those things where I don't know what either chief has in mind regarding. I know what Chief Davis thought. I don't know what Chief Naki thinks, and Chief Nyson and I, to my knowledge, have never discussed anything like this. So, and look at Chief Nyson. He's like, "Yeah, James, thanks a lot." I'd like to hear their thoughts on the practicality of the situation. My thoughts are in regard to legality and in regard to potential liability. Those are my concerns. And then I think the city manager gives some input on that. A, she's worked other places. B, she's got a good practical head and sometimes thinks of things in a better way than I do. Because I think about the legal issues and not so much the practicality issues.
So before you take your vote, I would challenge and thank all the record companies here tonight. Please reach out to the city attorney if you have ideas. Scott, you brought up things. Jason, you brought up things. If we're going to come up with an ordinance, now is your chance. So send it to him or send it to the city manager, so that way they can review all that and hopefully we can come up with some kind of.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I abstain. Abstain.
Councilmember McCoy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson,
Yes.
Councilmember Franke,
Yes.
Mayor Hart,
Abstain.
Councilmember Phillips,
Yes.
Councilmember Welch,
Yes.
and Councilmember B.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, council, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda under my name for approval of reappointments. For a second reading, Hannibal Convention and Visitors Bureau, Beth Knight, reappointment for a term to expire September of 2027, and Gail Virel, reappointment for a term to expire September of 2027. I have a motion to approve those two.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. The next item on the agenda was listed under Councilmember Dobson. Has been, need a motion to table it. There has to be a public hearing for it. So is there a motion to table?
Motion to table.
Motion is second. Any discussion? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item is James Lemon, City Attorney.
Mayor, I've got two items. First one is regarding code amendment in Chapter 2, Administration. What we would be doing was adding a section providing for public comment at the meetings. The way I drafted it would be something where the council would promulgate rules, decide when you were going to put it on the agenda. I think this complies with what your all's instruction was to me, and it's bill number 22-028 to follow, although if anybody has any questions, I can try to answer them.
Yep, I do. Just real quick. Two topics, and if you guys will grant me the patience to address them one at a time. Pretty simple. The first one is, this is a question for James about what promulgating rules means, because I mean, my frank concern is that I just want to make sure that some future council can't decide on the fly to change the rules whenever it suits them. So I just want to make sure there's a process in place for that.
I use that language because there's some similar language in the charter, I believe, regarding what you all use as rules of order. What's been done is in establishing rules of order, I believe in the past we did it by resolution. I would suggest that would be appropriate here. I use that language because that was the language that I found otherwise in the code, but it it doesn't have to be that specific language, but that would be my thought. Was that's the way it's been done in the past as far as your all's rule here was resolution. I would suggest that's probably the way we ought to do it. If you all are going to pass this in the first place, I should say.
Thank you. And sub question to that one would be, so just so I understand the order of things, first reading, second reading, then after that we talk about a resolution for the rules.
Yeah, if you all approve it, then you could talk about what you wanted to do as far as rules. And again, I did not have any specific idea because I kind of felt like your all's, well, not kind of, I felt like your all's instructions were very general in nature, that you wanted to have that type of thing, but I didn't feel like I'd had an opportunity to talk to the council about what you specifically thought. If you all pass this, or even in the interim before the second vote, if you want to tell me things that you have in mind, I can certainly come up with some model resolutions, but I didn't have anything specifically in mind.
Thank you. I'm personally fine with doing it after the fact, but of course I'm one person. So the second question I had is more easily illustrated through a short story. That in April 2021, City Council put on the ballot a charter amendment that was then passed by the people that allowed City Council to conduct their meetings virtually in certain circumstances. The right thing to do, and I don't have a problem with that, but what I do have a problem with is that unfortunately it left out other boards and commissions and subdivisions of the city for their meetings. So at this time, they're not allowed to do the same thing. I want to make sure that doesn't happen here. So James, I'm just curious, of course, if everyone consents, if we could amend this to, push those rules out in all city meetings of any type and kind.
Sure.
Then I will make a motion to amend the bill to allow for that.
Other,
I think what he's saying is
Sorry.
he wants it to say something more along the lines of the way I have it drafted. It says council meetings. My thought would be if I was going to do something like that, it would say council meetings and meetings, something like that. I can certainly add that in if that's something you do. I think that's what
so
he
the public
Yeah.
comment section.
to any
every-
public, I think he's saying any public meeting comment section and utilize the same rules that the council uses. Promulgate. Yes, I can do that. I don't have it right in front of me, but I can do it.
Like I've said before, it's only going to create a problem. If you do the same thing for planning and zoning, somebody comes up, has a question, and planning and zoning hasn't seen it before, they're not going to have time to respond to it as of council. If somebody comes up, signs up their name, and comes up with a certain problem that they want addressed, council hasn't seen it, where now we have a system in order where, by noon on Thursday, it has to be into the city clerk. She usually gets those out either Thursday or Friday. Council's got all weekend to look at them. We can drive by, look at whatever needs to be addressed, or have time to research. And this eliminates, puts the council on the spot right there.
Well, I think the suggestion I'd make to you would be that lots of places, period, and I think the problem is mixing the concept of something being on the agenda where the council is obligated to respond to something we're allowed to get up and make.
But then
You're not obligated to make a response and promulgate the rules. And the way I drafted the ordinance, there are some restrictions. There are some things which would allow the mayor or the chairperson, whatever the board was, to shut things down if people are just trolling you. If they're wanting to attack other citizens, or if they're not wanting to talk about items that are actually within the purview of the government. The way I drafted the ordinance, it would allow you to shut those things down. To your point, I agree that it would not be appropriate to expect council or a board to immediately respond to a comment that someone made, but I'm also suggesting to you, if you structure it properly with rules, it's, okay, you get 2 minutes to make a comment, and I'm just throwing that as a number. I'm not saying it's got to be that. And then after that, you sit back down. And then if the council hears things they want to, they could take it up. Or if that person, once they voice their opinion, if they want a response from the council, they would be obligated to ask to be on the agenda and give the council time to respond.
I think that mechanism's in place now, because I've used it a few times that somebody's had a concern, and I've asked for that person to be recognized. They're recognized from the floor, does the same thing.
Oh, I agree. You've got the ability to ask for something. And I don't want to get into the weeds on this. I'm just talking about what I drafted and where I thought the council's direction.
James, you mentioned whether the council would take it up or not. How does that work legally? So John Smith comes in and makes a public comment about color of the fire hydrant in the corner down here.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for voicing your opinion.
But it's not on the agenda. But
it's in your public comment period.
Can we take? So let's say that we decide we want to take action on
You'd
Mr.
have
Smith.
to vote in the agenda, and get a 2/3 majority and add it to the agenda in that fashion. As a normal course of action, public comment period, exactly that. It's just an opportunity for citizens to express their opinion.
I understand. I just wanted to.
It is sometimes abused. I caution you, if you pass this, to put in some controls, because if you want to have some fun, look it up on YouTube and watch people troll city councils. I enjoy watching it because it's not my council. I wouldn't enjoy it if I was city.
I'm not going to enjoy being part of it.
That answer all your questions, sir? Okay. That's Bill 2202.
I'm
sorry.
Nobody has to second it, of course, but I'm just saying
Okay.
there's one there.
There's a motion.
You're amending it to all public meetings.
Correct. Of the city, yeah.
Is there a second?
I think it's worth a vote, so I'll second it. But
Motion is second.
That is a separate entity.
They already do it.
They already do that. And as far as I'm concerned now, they're obligated if they want.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
No.
Call it.
Councilmember McCoy?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
No.
Councilmember Franke?
Yes.
Mayor Hart?
No.
Councilmember Phillips?
No.
Councilmember Welch?
no.
Councilmember Beach?
Aye.
Didn't pass as amended. So
You're regular here, right?
So you'll
as
read it as
originally stated, bill number 22028 as originally. Counselor, next item.
Mayor, my second item is regarding code amendment of Chapter 3, alcoholic beverages. Specifically, this is to address an issue that our current code says that you can only get a caterer's license if you have a location within the city limits. That's not what state law says. State law actually has a provision for statewide caterer's licenses, and what this would do would be bring us into compliance with state law so that if someone has obtained a statewide caterer's license, with that license, they could then apply for a caterer's license for events inside the city limits. And it's 22-029 to follow. as much as I hate to say it, I can answer questions if anyone has any.
I don't think you have any.
All right.
Been a part of that. Thank you.
Mayor, that one last thing I just want to point out to you all, you ran the Girl Scouts off.
Yeah, it was an interesting meeting for the Girl Scouts. Poor girls. Hey,
They earned their badge.
that's their badge.
It's a hard
true
badge.
experience. Okay, council, then we have now before us bill number 22-026. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading as amended for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second.
What was amended? Oh. What was amended about it?
Is there some-
I think there was a.
It's for Fifth Ward, Sixth Ward, and recycling.
Yeah.
Mine shows as amended. Or not amended.
Don't know what it meant.
Okay, then need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
An ordinance of the City of Hannibal providing for a municipal election to be held Tuesday, April 4th, 2023, for the purpose of electing council members of the 5th and 6th wards, and to allow Hannibal voters to determine the continuation of funding the city recycling program. Councilmember McCoy? Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
Councilmember Franke?
Yes.
Mayor Hart?
Yes.
Councilmember Phillips?
Yes.
Councilmember Welch?
Yes.
Councilmember Beach?
I declare bill number 22-026 duly approved and adopted on this day. Now have before us bill number 22-027. Motion to have the clerk give this bill a second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
In accordance of the City of Hannibal accepting the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission, finding that a certain blighted area is defined in Chapter 353 of the Revised Statutes of Missouri. As amended, the Urban Redevelopment Corporation Law exists in the City of Hannibal, and that the redevelopment of such areas is necessary in the public interest. Approving a development plan for such an area, approving a grant of limited real property tax abatement, approving a development agreement, and providing further authority. Councilmember McCoy?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
Councilmember Franke?
Yes.
Mayor Hart?
Yes.
Councilmember Phillips?
Yes.
Councilmember Welch?
Yes.
Councilmember Beach?
Yeah.
Sir, bill number 22-027 duly approved and adopted on this day. Now before us, bill number 22-028. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a first reading.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? None. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance revising Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, City Council, Division 2 Rules and Order of Business of the revised ordinances of the City of Hannibal to make specific provisions for public comment.
Now we have bill number 22-029. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a first reading.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance of the City of Hannibal revising Chapter 3, Alcoholic Beverages, Division 1, Section 390, Caterers License Requirement. First reading.
Here. So bill number 22-030 was tabled. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Would